So welcome to what will probably be one of the most ridiculous episodes of the Mech series ever made. So in this episode I'm going to be comparing some big cubes, but unlike the Yixin 4, Shengshou 4 and 5, Aosu Huanglong Aoshi, Yixing Blue and Red, Wuqie Aosu GTS Gun 460, Weichuang GTS, Weishi GTS, VUC 4, VUC 5 Shadow, Little Magic 4, 5 and 6. All these cubes are just too big for me to really just disassemble them all and show you the mechs like I showed for all the smaller cubes. So instead I'm going to resort to drawing the mechanisms on paper, and just for standardization purposes I just drew 3 14 by 14s. So I'm going to start with first I'm going to explain the numbers. So every layer here is assigned a number, 1 being the outermost and 8 being the hidden internal layer. And one thing that I must point out is every piece actually will have 2 numbers. So let's just simplify all the way down to a 4x4. Let's say the edge here, it's 1 by 2. So what this means is that if you look at the piece from this angle, it looks like it belongs to the number 2 layer. And if you look at it from this angle, it will look like it belongs to the number 1 layer. And the same thing can be said with like every single piece on the bigger cube. So like a corner is just a 1 by 1 piece. Then let's say one of these ones here, this will be a 5 by 2 piece. And this means that every piece will have 2 profiles like you have seen on the 4x4 edge. So it can look like a number 2 layer from one angle and a number 7 layer from another angle. So I'll start from the Huanglong. And with the Huanglong, all you have is just one big umbrella and everything hooks underneath that big umbrella. So imagine if you are a number 1 piece, you are sitting underneath number 2, which is sitting underneath number 3, and you are actually not relying directly on the middle piece. Like the outer piece has to rely on this piece, that in turn will rely on the next piece, and so on. And this means that the further you go, the more indirect the reliance of the outer layer on the middle is. This means that the further out you go, the more the cube is going to flex. So imagine you are doing edge pairing, and then you see the next edge, you want to insert it. To correct the problem of the Yixing Huanglong, what Moyu did to the MF series was they introduced multiple levels, and actually way before the Huanglong and the MF, Shengshou has also been doing the multiple levels idea as well. So what Shengshou has done is they actually have a 2-center system, so it looks exactly like the MF series except that they don't have this middle center. So the outer layer will hook underneath 1, and this will make a 3 by 3 if you look carefully. So you can actually take a Shengshou cube, take away all these layers, just leave these 2 inside, and the middle center and the hidden internal edge inside, all these, and you can actually play with this thing as if it's a 3 by 3. And this is an old generation Shengshou. This one is a new generation Shengshou. I've not seen the 12 by 12 mechanism individually, but I've seen pictures of the 13. It's basically the same system as the old generation. In the MF series, that's why I colored them blue and green, because each set of layers hook underneath a different plate. So in this case, since this is MF 14, there is a 3 by 3 which is the white one that hooks underneath this. Then the white one plus all those blue ones will add up to form a 9 by 9 and they hook underneath the second layer. And then on this third layer, it's like the white, blue and green all together just hook underneath this third level, and that makes the 14 by 14. The MF8 is of course not a 14, it's a lot smaller, so it's basically the same thing, just that you merge a few of the blue layers together and a few of the green layers together. But you end up with a really stable cube that doesn't really flex much. But then you have another problem. So this piece is a 2 by 3 piece. So what it means is that if you look at it from this angle, okay, I'll show you this angle first. This angle, okay, because 14 is really big, so a layer 3 on the 8 would probably resemble a layer 6 on the 14, and you can kind of see it right here. It looks like layer 6 on the 14 by 14. If you look at it from this angle, it's still like layer 2. Because you just got the straight line thing, but it cut short at that layer 6 height. So this means that the root from its layer 2 perspective is just a straight line with no defense against popping. So obviously Moyu didn't settle with the MF and they made the Meilong Big Cube series. So with the Meilong Big Cube series, the cubes actually have a triple anchor system. So if you notice all the traditional cubes are double anchors like the Huanglong and the MF, all double anchors, but this one triple anchor. So the third anchor is slightly floating. It's okay. I know some of the newer Little Magic cubes also have a third anchor, but it's at a different height and serves a different purpose. For the Meilong series, the third anchor is actually also almost as low down as the first two, but what it does is it creates this wave pattern here. So you notice layer 2 is not a straight line anymore. So a 2x6 piece would follow the layer 2, like it will look like a layer 6 piece from this angle, but if you look at it from its other angle, it will look like a layer 2 piece that cut short at that level 6 height. It's not so straight anymore, it will have this curve to it. If the piece were to pop out, it cannot just directly fly out, it has to wiggle through a lot of contours and basically makes that piece much harder. Try to make the 2x4 piece pop, and I can kind of do it, but it's a little bit harder. And if you notice, this piece is like, it has a slight knot right here, I think. Yeah, you can kind of see that small knot here. So 2x3, see, it doesn't even pop out. The furthest I can do is just corner cut right through or get stuck, and the cube doesn't even want to deform. I thought that the Meilong series is less prone to pops as opposed to the MF series, and it's also more stable than the Huanglong series because it also has that triple anchor, the triple like center system that will really like stabilize all the layers, and at the same time it doesn't run into the same problem as the MF series, where because the number 6 and number 5 layers, they cannot descend very deeply inside the cube. You see the Huanglong, they can descend very deeply inside, so the Huanglong cubes don't really pop that easily. So like this cube is flexible but it cannot pop. This one is stable but it can pop. And this one is stable and it cannot pop. So it's the best of both worlds, and that's why Meilong is the best.